Before we get this show started, I'll first and foremost rest in peace to Fred the Godson. If you're not familiar, Fred the Godson is the legendary rapper that just recently passed away from COVID-19. My condolences go out to his family, his loved ones, and everybody he left behind. Now, let's start the show. Welcome back to the Rolling Stoner. My name is Roland, of course, from the Rolling Stoner, of course. So that's triple S's on that B. Now we're back with another episode of the Rolling Stoner today. And today's episode numero 64. See, I didn't have to think about that one this time. That's 64. Whew, we rolling out here. Okay, so what's on the menu today? Today, what's on the menu? Let's check it out. What's on the menu? Now, on the menu today, it's a fresh one. It's all rolled. It's nice. My roll got way better. Like, way fucking better, dog. Like, wow, this is paper. So, today is YG 400. Now, you know I'm on the West Coast, and if you know who YG is, of course, this is his brand, YG 400. And it's, I believe it's a hybrid or indica, and I don't know. It's not tracked, it's not traced. You know how that goes. I'm not saying too much, So it's not tracked, it's not traced, none of that. So while we go on our smoke break, I want to play you a song. Let me put on my headphones real quick. And this is from the Notorious B.I.G. Yes, Notorious B.I.G. They just released some footage or some unreleased track of his. Let me find it right now and play it for you. And it's called Bastard Child. See the old beat?
Static Select.
Ain't no more verses.
YG 400.
Got shit rocking like
Got a new lighter, by the way.
Steps out the pad with the duffel bag. All the guns ahead, sipping granddad. About to make his mama sad. I can't stand him and I don't know him. And he don't even know I'm about to blow him. About to show him. What goes around comes around. He should have thought about it. Now he got to talk to God about it. I mean this, nothing come between this. 450 on the head center. I got a scope with the info. Boom. Coward niggas got to meet their fate. The faggot got Jason on the slice of plate. Motherfucker. And he talking. Pass the gat about to sparkle. Lord forgive me, beg your pardon. Hey, Playboy.
Tell me who'll be the one who fails to play.
A bastard child. Pain I inflict like a convict. The Google vicar, jump in the accurate vigor after I stick ya. Rip you like a razor, straight up any with no chaser. Watch me erase you, misplace ya. Put you in the back with the derelict. Yeah, I pop plenty shit. Chump, I'm making hits, so time.
So now that's a unreleased track from the Notorious, and the second part of that second verse, that's from the Dead Wrong, the song. But the first verse, that's unreleased. I've never heard that before, and it was pretty good. It's good to hear him again, The Notorious is my favorite rapper of all time. Now, of course, if you listen to this show, I'm always listening to new and upcoming people because I like hearing new things. But the Notorious is still the top number one, numero uno of all time for me, my personal preference, because I grew up with the Notorious. But I'm gonna segue into the Stoner Score. Now, a few albums came out throughout this past week, then I'm gonna give them Stoner Score. Now, on the flip side, I want to make an announcement that later on in the show, not this show, but later on, more episodes, I'm gonna critique like artists you've never heard before. Like I'm gonna go more into the indie artists so I could play it on YouTube and everywhere else. And yeah, I'm gonna try to find some hidden gems that you probably never heard before. Notorious B.I.G. You've never heard that before because it's unreleased. It just came out yesterday, and now you by the time this show drops, you probably would have heard it if you're into that shit. But if you haven't, you just heard it. Okay, there you go. Now we're gonna talk about the stoner score. Now I mentioned the stoner score. I created the stoner score last week where I rate albums from 1 to 10 of the vibe. Basically something you could chill and relax and leave it in the background and not have to skip it because it's messing up the vibe. There's a few albums that you gotta skip. It's an album with less skippables, and that's 1 out of 10. Now I want to talk about Wiz Khalifa's album, and it's called The Saga of Wiz Khalifa. He dropped it on 420. I don't know how I missed it, but he dropped it because it was a Monday. He dropped it on a Monday, which you don't usually do that. So I'm guessing, I don't know how it works technically because they have to, they do a week. He lose 3 days if he dropped it on a Monday as opposed to Friday where they normally drop. But it actually was moved over to this week somehow. Okay, let me just give him a score. Now, the stoner score, Wiz Khalifa is a stoner, obviously. So his album is something, if you were partaking in some activities, his album is perfect for it. Now, one thing I didn't like that I had to deduct some points is because it was actually 7 songs. It wasn't a full album. It was more of an EP. So about 20 minutes. You're gonna need something else after that, so that's why I have to deduct because it's not a full album. But on everything else, it's a 10. Other than the fact it's not a full album, so gotta drop it down to a 9 because it was great. It's something you can leave, and it's basically he's singing about weed the whole time. It was a very good album. So his stoner score is about a 9. Another album that came out is Fivio Foreign. Now, if you're not familiar, he's on the East Coast as well in New York, and his album is called 800 BC. Now, he has that, I'm forgetting the term, it's, it's basically the movement that's going on the East Coast with Pop Smoke. Is the same. I don't know. I'm just losing the word for the movement right now, but he's on that wave, the same Pop Smoke vibes. And I listened to the album. It wasn't a full album for one. It was 8 songs, so that's about 30 minutes or so, which is not good. That's deduct points from that because we just did that for Wiz Khalifa as well. But something else is that it does have a couple of skippables. It's not. It's more of a album if you're trying to go rob somebody. If you're trying to go rob a nigga, yeah, toss that shit in. Because you just say bow, bow the whole time. But if you're trying to rob somebody, that would be the album to go with. But as a stoner, it's low 6s, around a 5 maybe. Because there's a lot of skippables and it's only 7 songs or 8 songs, so that's not good. So I'll give it about a 5 in the stoner scale. So it's a 5 stoner. Another album is Kcamp's album, and it's called Kiss 5. Now I'll admit I didn't finish the whole album as of yet because it's a little slow. You need a girl with you, or if you're into that, a guy with you, or if you're into that a non-binary with you. So I listened to it. I didn't really get to. That's why I didn't finish it because it's not a loner album. It's not something a guy anyways could just sit there and listen to on some weird shit. So I didn't finish that. So I'm not gonna give it a score as of yet. But if you do have other people with you that are more of either another or same gender, but somebody more romantic, I guess. If you have somebody like that with you, then it would be more of a vibe to listen to together. Yeah, it's weird for a guy to listen to this by himself. At least I think so. It's quite weird, dog. So those have been the albums that have came out. Now, I mentioned it previously. I'm not sure if I did or not because, it's the Rolling Stoner podcast. You know what we're doing out here. But I will start going into more indie artists that don't get any shine at all, that you most likely haven't heard of. So I'm gonna play their music. So after I smoke, I could, just like I did today, play music and I can drink some water. I can drink some water, which I'm gonna start tightening up the show a little bit more, because most of this is freestyle. I've made it clear many times before. I turn it on, and I know what I'm going to talk about, but I don't, it's all flowing out as I'm looking at the title. So I'm going to start tightening it up a little more and more as the show starts progressing, because it is starting to progress a little bit, as the data will show, starting to progress a little bit. So I got to tighten up. It won't be 100% professional yet, but it'll be a little higher because I just pique your interest a lot. So I'm gonna give a little more detail onto things I talk about. All right, but that has been your stoner score section of this show. Now let's roll over to more serious matters. More serious matters. You know how that goes. We're still in quarantine, right? You're still under quarantine, ain't ya? So something weird is that me personally, this is not a fact. This is no news outlet says this. I might be making this up. I want to make that clear. I have no real proof of the statements I'm about to make. Now, I think Kim Jong Un has coronavirus. Yeah, I said that. I think he has it. And North Korea is hiding it. He's been nobody has seen him in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. And, you can't trust anything that really comes out of there. I believe Trump knows something is wrong. He's kind of hinted us at something. South Korea is saying nothing is wrong with him. He's okay. But yet people are thinking he's dead because nobody has seen him in 2 weeks. 2 weeks. People are trying to see the sky planes, the sky cameras, the drones. They're taking pictures of his compound, and there's a train there, and it's all looking a little suspicious that he's not out right now when there's a big pandemic going on. A huge pandemic is going on, and their leader is nowhere to be seen. And I personally think he got corona, and it's been serious. So, but it's been 2 weeks, so... If he hasn't recovered in that 2 week span, your mans might be dead. But who knows? We'll see. But it might not be that. There's other rumors going around. I know this is a little serious. They're saying he had surgery and all this. Why a real virus pandemic is going on. Something is fishy. Something fishy is going on. I'm just going to say that. I'm going to leave it there. I do think he has COVID-19, but he might not. He might just be chilling, watching TV, seeing what people say about him because he's that type of leader. But we'll see. We'll see as time goes by. This is something to watch because this is very important. That's why I'm bringing it up to you, because I know I bullshit about things that are not important, but this is. The North Korea leader is... He might be dead. So we'll have to find out. And something else I have to clarify. From last week, because, I'm like I just said, I'm going to tighten up a little bit. Now, not too much, though, just a little bit. So I'm going to have to clarify something. Last week, I did talk about Gilead Pharmaceuticals, how they thought they kind of created a cure, so their stock went way up. Now that drug is called remdesivir. Now it's not a cure, and the stocks went back down because the trial they had in Chicago, they didn't really have control. They didn't have people taking placebos, so chances are those people would have been cured anyways. But what's telling is that they had the same, back when it was only in China, they had the same study down there, and it wasn't successful because they actually had more for control. They had placebos. So that's the reason that the one they did in Chicago was a smaller sample size with no placebos, and people were cured, but chances are they were going to be cured anyway. So that's been out. I just had to clarify that, and that's why I did say if you want to put your money on there, I'm not. Again, I'm not your CPA or whatever those guys are. I'm not your consultant, your stock market, whatever. So there is a race to find a cure for this. There's a race, and Bill Gates is on the forefront of this. I can't really talk about all the hopefuls. By next week, maybe I'll come out here and just give out, which ones are winning this race. But as I know, as of right now, Bill Gates is at the forefront of this, and this is pretty cool. It's very good. Whoever comes up with something that saves us all, gets us outside again. That's step one. And it's also weird that some states are opening up, and I believe those are the states are not really. They're not the hot spots because they're not really travel destinations. New York, LA. There's hot spots where people actually travel to. So people don't really travel to the Midwest like that. So they could open up. They could open up, but I believe they need to, tread lightly, practice some caution because it's not gone. It's still a pandemic. And the leader of the protester of the stay-at-home order, he tested positive for coronavirus. So it's pretty serious and it can still travel. It's not gone yet. There's no cure. But the less hotspot states, they could reopen slowly, but it just might come back. And I don't think New York or California are going to open up anytime soon. Maybe mid-May is what the New York numbers are looking like. And California just didn't put a date on it yet because they didn't put a date on it yet. So we'll just have to see on that front. Okay, so those have been that's a serious topic for today. I'm not gonna go too deep into it yet. Maybe later on, many episodes from now, I can start tightening up the show a little bit more as the audience grows, as it's starting to grow a little bit. So I gotta button it up a little bit more, But I still do believe that dude is dead, though. The leader is probably dead, but we'll just have to see. Now, let's talk about MMJ, the MMJ news today. Now, I know I usually have sound cues to do all this, but I haven't really had time to set up my soundboard and everything else. So usually, I'll say I'll do this after, but then time just flies by. I'm doing other things so much that, I gotta record again. I didn't have time to set everything up again. And this is going for weeks, months, because I just do different things. But MMJ news. Now, one thing you might not know is that Lebanon is the first Middle East country to legalize weed for more pharmaceutical or medical purposes. Now, it's not recreational yet, but it's the very, very first Middle East country to legalize this. That's a big step. That's a huge step. So the whole country is medical purposes. Even the whole United States is not legal medically. Okay? A lot of states are, but the whole country is not medically legal. But Lebanon, a Middle East country, which is very strict laws, especially against women, but very strict laws, they just legalized cannabis for medical purposes. So medical and farming purposes. So that's a good look. That's a big one. So that maybe I will come back to put in as a word of the day. I'll bring all that back, but it's got to be slow. I'm slowly getting back into it. This is the Rolling Stoner podcast. I got to filter out things that didn't work on the midday smoke break and make it work on the Rolling Stoner podcast. Okay, so if you've been following or listening along for since 2018 now. Oh, yeah, since 2018 this show started. Yeah, so that's been your MMJ news for today. Okay, since this is the rat year, we've talked about rats, Adi Boom, 6ix9ine, the staple rats of our culture right now. I want to talk about why people snitch, why snitching is not as lethal as it used to be, why 6ix9ine could walk around freely because the kids don't really care that much. Now I don't know if it's because kids are getting a little smarter or What I mean by that is snitching is an older person's mindset. No snitching, no snitching. That's how it is back in the day. You know, it's an older mindset. The kids these days, the kids that listen to hip hop, they don't really care about this, and I believe this is why. It comes in terms of game theory. When earlier I said maybe kids are getting smarter, game theory. Now, when it comes to game theory, and this is real research, real math. I'm not going to give you X, Y equals B shit, but it's real math. How there's something called the prisoner's dilemma. Now, I'm here to teach you. I'm going to sit down, young buck. Let me learn you something. It's called prisoner's dilemma. Now, usually game theory is they kind of talk about white people doing white collar crimes, like, you know, stock market stuff. Now, the dilemma is, let me give you the rules. So two people get busted for a crime, right? And if they both snitch, if they both give up each other, let's say they do 3 years in prison each. If one of them gives up the other one will do the 6, and the one that gave up the other will do 1 or goes off free. Okay? But if none of them give up each other, they both do 1. So you see those words, those terms? So the prisoner's dilemma is that through all the trials, it'll behoove you. The person who snitches first wins. That's the dilemma. Now, this usually, it's not street culture. It's more of the like I said, the white collar crimes, the stock crimes. So you see them all the time. They're not in that street shit. They're not in that hood shit. So usually when they get busted, those white guys, they just snitch on the others so they could get less time. Because that's the game is who snitches first wins. If you snitch first, you win. So usually people are racing to go get the deal. Now let me bring that back to this hip hop culture, how it's, you know, snitching is frowned upon. You know, you gotta be tall, you gotta be, you know, you gotta have a strong backbone, because if you're gonna do the crime, you gotta be ready for the consequences. But majority of the guys, even black, white, whatever it is, they snitch. They do. I mean, I know these rappers out here talking about, but they do. They do. The prisoner's dilemma. They do. This is game theory. They do. Majority of them snitch. They do. They give They don't snitch as in, oh, he did that. Usually they give statements. Statements that basically tells them you're owning up to this. That means that other person did this. Then, if you only did this, it was only 2 of you. I guess the other guy did the rest, right? So a lot of them do, and it is the prisoner's dilemma. The person who does first gets less sentence. Although, if you both keep quiet, you both get less sentence. But you're in separate rooms, no communication. They're both basically gonna tell you, "Oh, the other person already took the deal." Like, no, I did this. No, he did. Oh, yeah, word. All right, sign your name right here, bro. You want candy? You want some cake? I got coffee in the back, kid.
Don't worry about the future. We're in good hands.